Hello viewers, Woodby Ben here with another Bronco project. Today we're going to install a FitCamX stealth dash camera in the Bronco. This is a dash camera that replaces the housing behind the rearview mirror so that it looks like it's factory built in. So let's take a look at this project and what it involves. Let's start by unboxing this FitCamX. Well, we have a box here labeled accessories. So it looks like we have a USB-C, a USB-A, SD card, and micro SD reader. And this looks like the patch cord that connects the mirror and the external camera, or the rear camera. And this is probably the actual unit itself in here. And that looks like the camera lens there. Looks like that must be for the rear camera there. Oh yeah, it's labeled rear camera. And this must be what connects to that splitter from the rear view mirror here. So this goes behind the rear view mirror to tap power, and then that goes into here. So that looks pretty straightforward. And then we have, looks like the rear camera and cable here. And a few clips there for cable management. 1080p rear camera. It looks like we can disconnect that camera fairly close here. And then we have the extension cable here that runs to the front of the Bronco. And we have a user manual and a support card. Let's install this FitCam. First thing we need to do is just, I guess we need to disconnect the connector behind the mirror here. That's pretty easy to do there. Now we need to take this housing off. Come on, there it goes. Okay, get that one side off. All right, we got it off. There's 3 little snaps on either side here that hold that on. There's a connector here that connects all the sensors that go through the forward windshield. And we've got this that goes to the mirror. We're going to tap the power off of this mirror here. So they give us this little inline power tap. Just have to line that up. All right, that snapped in there pretty easily that way. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this underneath the post here. And then this is going to have to plug in. So here's our FitCamX. We'll take this little label off the lens here. And there's a cable in here. This is the power. There's a little hole in the side that comes out through that hole there. And then this goes to the rear camera, which will just feed out that direction. But let's connect the power first. And this is a polarized connector here, so it'll only connect one way. And now we can snap this back up here. And we can run this along with the other cables that are coming out from underneath here. There we go. All right, so with this in place, now our camera is in place. The SD card goes here. There's a couple control buttons here. We've got our power coming up through here. You can tuck the mirror back in like that. And this rear cable can come over to this side here. And we'll just work on routing this around the front of the windshield so that we can get to the back. But that's basically it for installing the FitCamX under the, replacing the original housing with the FitCamX. And you can see that the camera drops down a little bit lower than the original housing, but it's still pretty much all behind the mirror, so it's not blocking any additional view. And it also looks like a very built-in solution. The next several minutes of video are going to show me running the cable down the driver's side, but for reasons that we'll explain later, you should run them down the passenger side instead. So you're going to follow the same procedures, but just on the passenger side of the vehicle. All right, so we're going to run this rear camera cable. I'm going to tuck it in front of the cable that's coming down for the rear view mirror. And there's just a little tiny gap in the windshield between the trim and the windshield here that I can lift that up a little bit and actually tuck this cable above that piece of trim there, just to make it invisible. There it goes. So now it's all above that trim there. And we'll plug in the rest of the rear camera cable to this. Actually, this wouldn't be a bad spot to use one of those little clips they give you. And just clip it to the windshield there. But the good to go pass will also just hold that up there. All right, so we're down at the base of the A-pillar here. Let's push this cable in front of the handle here. And can probably pull off this trim piece here. Tuck this in back there. Can pull this piece up here. There. Okay. There's actually two clips here on the bottom here. You can just pop those loose. Now I can get this underneath this panel here. Can you see that? So this one goes through a hole in the body there. We'll run this all the way down here into this channel. You can see some of the other wires we've added here for trailer. Wire running through this tray here. We'll continue working our way back and just feed that wire all along here. Continue to work our way to the back here. Actually, just need to tuck it underneath this edge here and work our way back. Because we've got a rubber mat here with a little carpet behind it, or padding, we can just tuck the wire in under here, just so it's under this panel. All right, so that wire is hidden under here. Continuing our way to the back here. We'll keep working our way backwards here. Just tucking the wire under this panel here. Go. I'm going to pull up this back floor just so we can pull this panel out and then run this wire behind it properly. That's going to involve removing these floor anchors, and they're on both sides. Okay, after removing the floor anchors, I pulled off this piece of the floor here so I can get to the side panel here, and we'll work on pulling the side panel out to route this wire up through this little corner here. There's a little piece of plastic here behind the pillar. We'll need to pry that out first, and then I'll be able to pull this thing away from the side, and we'll pull up this little piece here to free up this corner here. This should just pop right up. So that'll give us access to this little corner here. And actually, to pull this out, we got to pull up on this and then out this way here. But let's get this little corner piece out first. That little piece holds this trim piece into the corner there. Then we can just give this a pull outwards. And now we can run that wire through here. And this bottom corner here needs to be lifted up, and then it can be pulled forward. There's a little tab keeper here in the corner here that you have to lift that thing up and over. So now we'll be able to run that wire right up into the corner. So I'll just route this through here. And we'll try to tidy that up a bit. Okay, so with this panel pulled out here, let's see, I've got the wire running from that corner there up to the top, and I'm just going to tidy this up a little bit, maybe secure it along, run it up along these wires here just to make it tidier. So we have the video cable running along this wiring bundle on the side wall here, and we'll just continue it up here and have it come out up here with the rest of the wiring going to the top and the back here. Okay, so here's that video cable. I just clipped it in. There's actually a windshield washer hose right here, so I just clipped it right next to that. Then it runs behind this module here, and then up forward here, another clip for the windshield washer hose here. I just clip that in with that, and then we'll zip tie this right up here. So it's basically following this windshield washer hose all the way up to the back of the car here. While we're back here, I'm going to put a T in this windshield washer hose and then run a tube down the other side and out where the spare tire is, so it'll wash off the backup camera when we hit the washer for the rear windshield wiper. That way we'll be able to see when we're backing up, even if there's dirt on the lens. Okay, so I've teed off of this rear wiper hose and run it down the sidewall here. I ran it through a little bit of protective conduit to get through this little area here, which is potentially rough, under this piece of trim over here, which then loops through, comes back up here into the tailgate, and then out through the grommet that's on the other side of this. I've just popped that off. So here's our washer hose going out through this grommet here, which then I've threaded through the spare tire, and I made a little mount here that's a drip irrigation sprayer nozzle, so it'll spray off the camera when it gets dirty and I want to back up. And I've mounted this onto some dual lock fastener here, so this can be removed in case we have to, when we need to remove the tire to change the tire or rotate the wheels. So that's a good way to be able to wash that rear camera off while you're driving. Okay, now that we've got this wire routed coming out here where all the other wires in the windshield washer fluid comes out on the driver's side next to the roll bar, we're going to run this up the outside of the roll bar like this, and secure it up here near the top so that we'll be able to disconnect it if we ever take the top off. So I'm going to use some of those little anchors that they provide to secure this up this way. Now, one last thing to check before we mount this on the rear window is to see whether the camera is right side up this way or if the camera is right side up this way. So we're going to temporarily mount this on the rear window with some painter's tape, and then we're going to run the vehicle, and then we'll take a look at the memory card to see if the rear camera is recording right side up. So I used the FitCamX app, and with the camera mounted this way, the image was upside down. So I'm going to have to spin this around 180 degrees to get it to record right side up, which means the cable will probably have to double back on itself. When you mount the rear camera on your back window, make sure that the cable comes out the passenger side rather than the driver's side. Otherwise, the picture will be upside down. That's something they don't really point out in the manual. And there's no way you can flip the image using software in the camera itself. So make sure the cable comes out on the passenger side. I ran the cable down the driver's side of the vehicle, but there's no reason why you couldn't use the same route and run it down the passenger side, but just so you know. The other thing is that you'll want to attach this camera with some dual lock in case you want to take the top off of the Bronco, and then you can just relocate this onto the roll bar, and you'll just have to peel off the 3M adhesive that it comes with and get some dual lock instead, and that way you can relocate the camera if you take the top off. From the driver's seat with the FitCamX installed, this is completely stealth. You really have to kind of look for it. You can see it on this side here, dropping in front of the mirror, but from the driver's side, you really can't tell that it's there. The FitCamX is a very discreet install. There's no monitor on the device, so if you want to see what's been recorded, you can use the FitCamX app to download files and preview them on your phone. You can also download them directly to your phone's photo library. If you take the memory card out and put it in your computer, Macintosh computers don't read the 4K files natively with the QuickTime Viewer app, but you can download other apps that can view it, such as the VLC app. I ended up running the video cable to the rear camera down the driver's side, but I would recommend that you run it down the passenger side so you'll have a cleaner looking install in the back of the car, because that way the cable will come straight out of the camera instead of having to double back on itself. Well, I hope you found this to be a helpful video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Until next time, this is Wedby Ben signing off. Bye-bye.